Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Bob Thibodeau with the Kingdom Crossroads podcast, and you are listening to the Going North podcast with my good friend Don Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his podcast so you will not miss any of the upcoming episodes, and be blessed in all that you do.
And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, the Going North podcast. It's another one of those occasions where we get to connect with folks who are part of the Sacred Stories media crew, y'all. That's right. In this freaking third book that's going to be ultra freaking awesome. That's already a bestseller at the time of this recording. Mayhem to Miracles, y'all. Mayhem to Miracles. That's right. M2M. It went from C2H from now to M2M. We got one extra guest for you today because not only is today's guest an author, she has also published 11 other books, y'all. So she has surpassed a decade in writing, folks, with 11 published books. And she's also from the great state of Idaho, and even better and not butter, one of her recent books titled Off Target is actually an award-winning book. It actually won the Mom's Choice Awards. Go figure. So let's give it up for the wonderful Miss JV herself. And no, we're not talking about joint venture. We're talking about the delightful Jill Vanderwood. How you doing today, Jill?
Good.
Yeah, she's doing good, y'all. That's right. Good with all the O's. That's right. She's doing good. But hey, as you know, with all introductions, they're not allowed to be 15 and a half days long. So mind filling in any cavities I missed about you, Jill?
I'm a grandmother, and I'm trying to make a difference for the next generation by writing books about tough topics and trying to answer some questions for young people.
Ah, there you go. There you go. That's right. She's a grandma, y'all. That's right. My grandma who's glamorous. That's right. That's right indeed. She stays fabulous. That's right. That's right indeed. So my goodness. So did you ever see yourself being a grandmother, especially in your younger years when you got swept off the market at 19?
Well, I was a grandmother at age 38, so yes, I've been thinking about it for a while.
All right, so 3 years, I got you. All right, sounds good. Sounds good in the neighborhood. So my goodness, my goodness. So read your story in the mighty M2M book, all about the bullying, which is basically ramped up nowadays thanks to social media, where it's like, oh, it ain't just at school; it could be following you at home now. To gun control and just focusing on making sure that we have better laws in place for the guns out there so that way the kids don't get their hands on them, especially with the lack of training. So my goodness, so what inspired you to be a grandmother to make a difference to really help out the kids?
Because I've seen more than one generation grow up, so I'm really thinking that it's hard for kids to have to go to school and be fearful. They shouldn't have to train to hide under their desk for an active shooter, things that we never had to think about, and they have more to deal with. So, and like you said, social media, they could be bullied when they're not even at school. So those things are tough.
Oh yeah, that's right. Definitely say that again, indeed. Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, it was tough for you growing up. Became Miss Class President, and then the same day you're like, forget this, I resign.
Yeah. Because they were giving me such a hard time, and at least I didn't burst into tears. I'm glad of that.
Ah, there you go. There you go. That's right. That's right. Definitely a solid story indeed for the kids that need it nowadays. You're so right. Like with everything that's going on, it seems like there's still a lot of good in the world, but there's still a lot of evil and stupidity in the world too. And thanks to the powers that be, the media, they like to show the stuff that bleeds so that way it leads. And it's like, no, like, can y'all like show the good stuff? Like, can we get to a point where it's like, hey, can kids just go to school and be kids, not have to advance age themselves and start calling themselves old at like 18?
Oh, kids usually can't wait to be 18.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. Leave mommy and daddy's house, going to college maybe, if that's their choice, and party. That's right. Maybe do some stuff. Sorry, but if I'm not mistaken, your story was different because you actually got married right out of high school, right?
Well, I waited a year. I was 19. I think all I really wanted to do is become a mother. So I guess I got that wish.
Ah, there you go. She got her wish, y'all. So, from being a mother of many kids to being a grandmother who's on a mission, what are probably the three main lessons that you have learned as a mother?
No, that's a tough question. Let's see. I think you have to realize that each child is an individual. What might work for one kid won't work for the other. What one likes, the other one doesn't. You have to always make everything fair for them. If you give one thing, you usually have to give the other one the same thing. Even if it's a little bit different, they think the other person got something better. So always have to be fair.
Anything else stuck out outside of fairness?
I think I had to become a disciplinarian even in public because they thought they could get away with something if they were out in public. And when they were home, they wouldn't try the same thing. So I had to become a bad guy out of the disciplinarian, correct them, even in public. I was a single mom for a while, for about 4 years. So I had to do the mommy and the daddy for a while. And that's tough. And at least I can understand what some mothers are going through because I had 3 kids and I was the only parent for a while.
Ouch. How did that happen?
Well, got married to the wrong person and it didn't work out. So that leads me into another topic is alcohol. So I had to deal with a person who was drinking a lot and doing some drugs, and then the behavior of that person wasn't very good towards me or the kids. So I had to get out of there and take the kids and get away from him. But I wrote a book just now and it's coming out on October the 20th, and it's called On the Rocks. And it's like the book about guns. It's written in fiction and it's about kids that get a hold of alcohol and drink when their parents aren't home. And then the kids that are reading have to make a choice. Do they want to go to that party with kids their age, or do they want to stay home? Do they want to drink the alcohol, or do they want to stay sober? Do they want to get in a car with somebody that's been drinking or not? And so throughout the book, the kids have to make a choice.
Ah, alrighty. Alrighty, indeed. Definitely sorry I had to go through that indeed, because got a lot of single parents out here, and it's definitely rough, like you said, basically having to do both, be disciplinarian and the loving mother to try to be fair to all 3 of the kids, where it's like, oh, man, I can't strangle all 3 of you equally. That's not going to work. My hands aren't big enough for that.
They wouldn't even do that. I'm not that kind of mother.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Taking something away was more effective than anything. Something they really wanted, taking that away was more effective than trying to do any other kind of discipline.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Hated it when my dad took away the TV growing up. Yep. Yep. Good times. Yep. Good times. Heck, who am I kidding? Wasn't good times at the time, but hey, could have been worse. Could have been
Hopefully
a
you
lot
learn
worse.
from it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely did. Definitely did. Definitely did. So, with all the stories you could have contributed to the wonderful Mayhem to Miracles, your particular story, what made you make that choice out of all the others you could have possibly chosen?
Because it kind of demonstrates how far I've come as an author. I was a person who wouldn't speak out at all because I had so many humiliating things in school because of being bullied that I decided I would never speak in public. I would never talk or raise my hand or say anything that would call attention to me again. And so I'm putting that out there that happened in the 5th grade, and that carried with me through my whole life until I became a writer. And the reason I became a writer, in my opinion, is because I couldn't communicate. And I started communicating by writing and writing letters and writing down my feelings, my thoughts, writing journals. And as I became a grandmother, I was writing stories and putting my grandchildren's names in the stories. And they loved that. And I decided, I think I'll write those stories down and, see what happens with them. Eventually, the first book became Through the Rug, and it's a magical adventure with a grandmother and her grandchildren going to a magical place where all their wishes are granted. And I shared that with a lot of different school classes, and they loved the book too. It was different. And so that was my first experience with writing and becoming a published author.
Ah, there we go. There we go. And it wasn't just one and done. It sounds like it's going to be 12, if not 13, if we count Mayhem to Miracles and your upcoming book.
Well, I don't count that as my book. Well, I'm in the book, but I'm just a contributing author. And I think that's important. Get some of your stories out there, no matter what. And a lot of times you can put it into an anthology and along with other people's works, and you've become a published author, just like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Take some of the work off, too. It's like, yay, I just write the stuff. It's like, I don't have to put much effort in this file. Like, I don't have to choose the cover and done. I just ship them to work and pay the money. They know how to edit and just approve. It's like, all right, I approved the edits. Let's go.
But I don't think they would publish a story that wasn't good enough. So you have to polish it as much as you can before you send it in.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. You can't just send them garbage. Like, that's not how this works. They wouldn't let garbage go out into the world like that.
No, and it's a good book. So, and I'm in there with a lot of really well-known people. So that's a good thing too.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Some fabulous humans indeed. So, my goodness. So, got this story that you contributed, and then with all those other books. So in addition to just making a difference and just building awareness and just really helping kids try to have a better future, is there anything else that may have contributed to your why of why you're publishing so many books and what keeps you going? Because a lot of folks, some authors are lucky if they get their first book out, and some of them may find a challenge to write their next book. So you got basically 12 books out there and counting. So what helps keep you going and stay consistent?
I just always have a lot of ideas. So when I'm working on one book, another idea comes. And I've known authors that will be working on 3 books, but I have to focus only on one book because I will get all sidetracked. So I do one book at a time and finish it all the way through. And I had my newest book, On the Rocks, finished by about March probably, or February. And I had it illustrated and edited and it was all ready, but it just didn't feel like the right time. And all of a sudden September came and I said, I think it's the right time. I need to get this book out. So I never do a book without having a professional edit, because you might not think that you have any mistakes in there. It might sound just right to you, but you don't see it. You read it over and over and you don't see your own mistakes. You have to put it out there for an editor, and then you'll feel better. You don't want to put a book out there that isn't the best you can do, because your name is on that book, and whatever mistakes and problems you have with that book, it comes back to you. And somebody will say, oh, I'll never read anything she writes again because look at this. So you have to have it polished and edited and do the best you can.
Oh yeah, definitely could say that again, indeed. So it sounds like you probably believe in divine timing too, because one of the books you felt like wasn't until what, September, you said that you think it's time to write a book. So are you? Well, I guess would you consider faith one of your compasses in your life?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I was writing silly books and fun books for kids, and they really like it in schools. They like make believe, but I decided been given a voice. I've been given the gift to be an author and to be a published author. I need to start making a difference with that voice. And that's when I started writing books like about bullying. I wrote a whole book about bullying with a lot of other authors. So I put 42 people's stories in there and had advice from each person, what they would tell other people who are being bullied. And so that was one of the first ones, but I also have one called Drugs Make You Unsmarter that I wrote with my granddaughter when she was 15. And so those books have kind of gone in that way, even though some of those books are nonfiction. These books that I'm writing now are fiction, but they're based on news stories and factual things that have happened, but it's in a make-believe, it's fiction.
Ah, it's good. That's good indeed. It's good indeed. So folks need to hear it, especially with the stuff that got out there now in the drug scene. My goodness, just from the stuff I hear, like it's like back in the day, it's like, oh, some may say weed, some folks may have grown up on the stuff and they think they'll be fine, but nowadays, like, oh no, they found ways to really get to the root of it. Heck, even a interview with the lovely lady Laura Stack, who actually lost her son to the THC and marijuana because of the whole dabbing thing, like the excessive, like the high amounts of THC concentrated in the drugs that he took really made him commit suicide. So it's definitely good to get the message out there to really avoid drugs nowadays now more than ever, because they're not your ordinary drug at all.
People might not even realize that alcohol is a problem, but it really is for teenagers because their brains aren't developed. And the other thing is they're drinking it too excessively. They're binge drinking and dying. And you have to let them know that hey, this is dangerous, even though it's just alcohol and they advertise it on TV and every show you watch on TV, they're drinking. But it isn't for everybody. Some people will never be able to just socially drink because it's in their DNA and it's in their family history where there are people who suffered from alcoholism. So sometimes when a young person drinks, they're 50% more likely to become an alcoholic when they start very young. So it's not going to be something they can just do recreationally because it's just in their DNA.
That's right. That's right. We got to bring that out to the public, y'all. That's right. That's right. Gotta protect them from the stuff. That's right. The alcohols, the drugs, all the bad stuff. All the bad stuff indeed. Because, yeah, like with the mind that's not fully developed yet, that just leads to a whole, really a smorgasbord of just really bad situations waiting to manifest. So definitely got to get that out there indeed. So is there a question that you wish to be asked more often when you're on these podcasts?
Hmm. I can't think of anything. I might think of something in a few minutes, but let's see. I can tell you about other things I enjoy doing besides writing, because writing isn't my whole life. And some authors, they only write, but I love doing quilting and other hobbies. So in between, I think while I'm doing something like quilting, it helps me think and get my thoughts together for my writing. So they kind of work hand in hand for me. So, and I also love to travel. I like to really go down to the Oregon coast and most summers and spend some time in the ocean with my feet in the water.
There you go. That's right, the magical quilting indeed. That's right indeed. So have you kept count of how many quilts you've made?
No, I really haven't. Made a lot of baby quilts. I'm thinking that someday some of my grandchildren will have babies. Some of them are old enough already. So I'm thinking that I would make about 12 baby quilts in case we need them, but we haven't needed them yet.
Hey, might be a good thing. Yeah, it'd probably be a good thing at the moment. That's right. Considering the way things are at the moment.
To me, a quilt is like a warm hug, telling them that somebody loves them. Tucking you in your bed and you're cozy.
So would you consider some of your books like a quilt?
Well, I think some of my books are for fun, but the ones that I'm writing now are more for teaching and make. I know that kids have a hard time making decisions. So in these books with 13 different endings, they have to make a choice over and over in the book, and they're hard choices. And I'm thinking if they've already made those choices reading the book, maybe it'll be easier for them to make them in real life. So they're not cozy books. They don't have happy endings, but in the book about guns, nobody got killed. I'll say that. But people did get hurt because they've made these choices to play around with a gun.
That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's what I'm talking about indeed. Sweet. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time you're in 2021 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
I think I would have started becoming an author sooner. I would have had more, maybe more confidence, and I would have wanted to become an author sooner. But I fought this thing about confidence ever since I was bullied. So I'm grateful that I've overcome that, though. And I would tell myself, you are great and you will become somebody someday.
That's right. That someday is today indeed. So for those who want to know more about this great somebody and pick up all the magical books and share with their friends, cats, penguins, and the kids of the penguins, heck, even some kittens, what's the best way for folks to do so?
I have a website that's Jill Vanderwood, VANDERWOOD.com. And you can also find me on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. And you can look and see the titles that I've written. And on my website, you can also see my blog and stories, shorter stories that I've written.
Well, there you have it, folks. Check out Jill's magical books, y'all. It's good stuff indeed. Good stuff indeed. Check it out like all the library books. Share with your friends, your family, especially those who have kids in their lives, especially preteens and teens, so that way they can be informed about what the heck is going on out there with all the nonsense, especially in the areas with guns, so that way they don't get too happy with them. Yeah, don't want folks to get too happy with those, indeed. So, any parting words before we close up shop, Jill?
Well, the book Mayhem to Miracle, which has one of my stories in it and a lot of other really wonderful stories, will be coming out tomorrow. And it's already a bestseller on Amazon before it was even published. So you can pick up a copy on Amazon.com. Mayhem to Miracles.
How's it going, you super special, awesome human? Since you made it to the end of this episode, it looks like you really enjoyed yourself. Since you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with at least 3 people in your network and tell them what you really liked about this episode. Heck, even shoot myself or the guest an email and let them know what you liked most about this interview, so that way they can stay inspired to keep pushing out great work.